Gerard, and hi everyone who's dialing in and watching this right now, either through Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. For those of you that are new to this, we're going to be on live for around 30 minutes, diving into the world of wholesale electricity and member models, including PowerHub's current rewards-based crowdfunding campaign. Sophia and Gerard will answer your questions and my questions. I've got some pre-written, but we really love anything that you would like to ask as well. Feel free to comment and it'll come through to us. We also like it when you like and heart things, so we know that people are there. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Anna Gunther, and I'm the co-founder of PledgeMe. We've been going for over 10 years, helping Kiwis fund things that they care about, from shampoo bars to your favorite beverages to power now. But enough about me. Let's hear from our fabulous guests. Sophia, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Good evening. Thank you for joining us, in the evening of a busy day. Time is precious. Really appreciate that you're dialing in. So Gerard and I feel very passionate about electricity and how New Zealanders accessing electricity, whether it's from home or from their place of work. So PowerHub is a technology company really trying to focus on the delivery experience of the electricity at home, because that's where you feel it, lighting, heating, resiliency, and hopefully we can also give you some affordable electricity also. Over to you, Gerard.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for joining. As Sophia says, very passionate about the PowerHub business, giving Kiwis a better go. I joined PowerHub quite recently. I've known Sophia for a number of years, and last year she was telling me about this power company that she had founded. And the battery that she had developed that could be connected to the power. I live rurally, and the power does drop out reasonably regularly. So I was very keen to join up at that point. Since that time, the idea has expanded, as Sophia's thought a little bit more about it, and now we can offer a wholesale energy deal, which is. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but there is a wholesale market for energy in New Zealand where the big companies buy power at wholesale prices, which is quite significantly cheaper than retail prices. But from those discussions, I said, "Oh look, I'd love to join, love to be part of it." And Sophia said, "Well, I'd love you too, but I would love it if you were a director and a CEO," and hence my involvement. And I'm very pleased to be on board and very proud to be associated with Sophia and the efforts that we're trying to make to give Kiwis a better deal. So here I am.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Gerard and Sophia? Like, what is the difference between a wholesale price and sort of the retail price that people are paying these days?
Do you want to take that one, Sophia?
Okay, yeah, I'll have a go. According to Honourable Simon Watts, our ex-energy minister, he said that in New Zealand, for just over 5 million people, we have 15,000 retail power plants. So that just makes comparisons sideways very, very difficult. But it really boils down to 5 components that make up the cost of electricity. So it's what is it that's trading in the wholesale market? The price points are set every 30 minutes. The next thing is a network cost. So how do we get electricity from generation through transmission and distributions into your homes and businesses? Metering is another cost. Levy, which is a very, very small component. And lastly, is the New Zealand Stock Exchange acting as a clearing agent for the wholesale trades. So out of the 5 components, depending on how you do your maths and structuring, hence we have so many different retail plans. So how we're going to be different is very, very focused on being transparent. What are those costs? What we'll do is pass on the last 4 onto the customers at 0% margin. So no margin, straight pass through. On the electricity that you consume, measured by kilowatt hours, we will add on 10% for the time that we're running this campaign. So it's a limited time offer to acknowledge first mover advantage. We want to get this project started. We are in fact giving our time freely to the company of PowerHub because we feel so passionate about it. So the 10% was really just so that we can get enough scale through memberships and hire a couple people and actually run this book with good service, and we can get started to access wholesale market for everyday businesses and households.
So if you were adding in, sorry, you go, Gerard.
Sorry, Anna.
Okay.
Just to put some numbers around what Sophia has explained. So the price is determined every 30 minutes. So all the generators in the country say, hey, we can provide power at this price for 1 megawatt, which is 1,000 kilowatt hours. Normally it's very, very cheap because we run a lot of hydropower in New Zealand. So, at some points, it could be something like 1 cent per megawatt hour for half an hour. This is all published. And if you go back over the last year, the average price, wholesale price for power through the year was just under 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So to put that into context, a lot of the retail plans are 25 to 30 cents a kilowatt hour. So that difference there is where PowerHub can provide a service to clients and say, well, we can buy this power at that wholesale rate of around 10 cents. Now that's on average over the year. It does fluctuate. We'll add 10% on to cover our costs that Sophia has talked about. And you can pick up that benefit through that period. That in dollars and cents is quite a saving. So the average household in New Zealand uses 8,000 kilowatt hours a year. So multiply that by 0.16, and there's over $1,000 that you could be saving from joining PowerHub and its wholesale deal.
Awesome. Thanks, Gerard. You read my mind. That was the question I was going to follow up with. So you got it. I'd just like to say to anyone watching right now, we've got a few of you. Please do feel free to ask any questions as we go. Just pop them in the comments and I'll make sure to pass them on. So what was the genesis point for PowerHub starting? Can you talk to that, Sophia? How did this get started?
So Gerard and I both come from finance, funds management background. I suppose I ventured into entrepreneurship. There was one point in my life for 80 years that I've owned an importing and distributions business in appliances. So as an importer, we stand behind the product warranties, and we see all kinds of claims coming through the channels we sold into. Upon some analysis, because it is a cost to that business, there was one particular type that stands out, and it was to do with PCB boards failure. Quite often, it was not to do with poor workmanship or installations. It was actually to do with the delivery of electricity where those sensitive appliances sit, like, for example, Piha, Orotia, Waiheke, Queenstown. So we've noticed this pattern. So I was quite focused on looking for a demand side resilience solution. So hence why the batteries that came into play. But as we all know, battery needs to be charged. So from PowerHub's perspective, either it's going to be charged from a diesel generator, solar panels, if any, but more often than not from the grid. So we then went down the pathway of how do we purchase electricity from the market? Should we stay as a tier 2 electricity retailer, or do we graduate into tier 1? So the strategy evolved over the past 12 to 18 years, and we feel confident about what we're delivering to the market, to the members today.
Awesome. So you're deeply experienced, you know the problem really well, and you have quite a complex solution to the problems that New Zealand face around energy. And this is just the first PSA. We've got 2 questions from Mohit, who might be the person that we accidentally kicked out last time. I'm really sorry, Mohit. He asked about solar buyback. So how about solar buyback?
This is actually just PowerHub's thinking, and it's subject to debate and feedback. So when people first and foremost take the current retail price rather than as an assumption, it's actually locked in rate. So then the solutions of how to save money is moving into, can I get solar, can I get batteries? And if you were to purchase solar, which costs $20,000 upfront, with a battery 40,000, so the payback ranges between 7 to 15 years. If I was to stand back, wearing the finance hat on, is this actually going to math out for the duration and longevity of the products? What PowerHub is doing is really painfully testing the assumption of, is the retail price something we actually need to accept? So what we're saying is, first, become a member with PowerHub. We will give you access to the wholesale market. So without actually all the capital outlay on solar panels and batteries, you are saving already. So this is the step 1 of the 3 steps with PowerHub. Now, if Mohit, you say to me, I love solar, I love the idea of harvesting, the free energy from the sun, plus I want to protect myself from the fluctuation of the spot market, we would highly encourage you to do that. So under the PowerHub strategy, because we are supplying you with electricity at a wholesale plus 10%, if you were to export solar energy that you generate on site where you are into the network, we will be giving you the wholesale less 10. This is actually just how we do it. Electricity Authority has actually done a consultation with the market and said that there will be, at one point in time, have multi-traders on a single ICP. So what that means to your question is that you can purchase electricity from PowerHub enjoying the wholesale access plus 10%, but also you can sell your electricity to another retailer that has a much higher solar buyback, so therefore maximizing your investment and returns.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Mohit noted he's already invested in solar. And he also asked, how much is the daily fixed rate? Could you explain what that means, Sophia, when you respond? What's the daily fixed rate?
So remember earlier we talked about 5 components that make up people's power bill. So the daily rate refers to network charges, both in variable and daily fixed. So PowerHub, our philosophy is to simply do a straight pass through. So whatever you are paying, experiencing, we will either be the same or less depending on the structuring that your retailer has done your power bill. The other good thing is the network companies, the metering, the levy put on by Electricity Authority and what NZX Clearinghouse actually do, they are highly regulated business. So if you are that way inclined, you can you can Google the network company that you're in, for example, Vector or North Power, have a look at their pricing or tariff, and we're very happy to be audited, which is what we get charged by the lines companies, and we'll pass on to our members.
Awesome.
Yes, I think that's the key thing, is that we can't say that there's one fixed price, because it really depends where the members are based. So the ones that are in Auckland at Vector, they charge a certain rate for access to the lines. If you're up in Northland, they charge another rate. But as Sophia says, we'll just pass that through. There's a tariff that they all publish. It's all open source, and that's what we'll charge through.
We're even happy for you to audit our 10% the base of the 10% because the wholesale market every 30 minutes is published on the Electricity Authority's website called EMI. So really we're like an open book. We just really want the public to see, can you support this new way of accessing electricity? If, let's say, we're getting a winter bill in summer months, why is that? Perhaps you complain about it, but you don't really know how to peel the onions, the layers back. So what we're saying is, let's actually build it up from the bottom up. How do we actually buy electricity? How do we use it? How do we get access to where I am? And so that's the step one. But if the customer or members want an enhanced delivery of electricity, for example, resiliency where I am, then the battery will be a suitable plan. We're very proud of our batteries, actually. It's a true all-in-one unit. We've done R&D ourselves. Gerard, you're working with ECA to get our battery whitelisted at some point soon. Yeah.
So yes, ECA are having an approved list, so we're just going through that process at the moment. They've called for companies such as ourselves to have a list of solar panels, batteries, etc., that people can go and have a look at. So very technical, but as Sophia said, it is authorised. It's gone through the AUNZ testing. It's authorised by Transpower to connect to the grid here. So it is live. We just want to enhance how people see it across ECA as well.
Awesome. Mohit goes on to say his biggest cost is daily rate because of his investment in solar, but the daily fixed rate is different based upon usage. This might be something that you follow up directly with Mohit on, but it sounds like there's some real interest there. So maybe Mohit will get you to connect after this live, but really great questions. Sally asks, with the growing current interest in e-vehicles, how does PowerHub subscription help the consumer? Is a battery needed? Question mark.
So EV has really turned a point whereby we are transitioning. We'll see more and more EVs on our roads in the near future. There's a separate piece of work to get more public chargers out there in the public. So that's definitely the right pathway for electrification. From your perspective, Sal, it's still the same 3 steps in the sense that you've just bought a much bigger piece of electronics. The battery in an EV is probably 70 kilowatt hours, which means that you may need to either rapid charge, at a public charger or trickle charge at home. But regardless, you'll be using more units of electricity. So again, back to what PowerHub is trying to do is, first of all, deliver to you affordable electricity, but also resiliency. So if you actually get a home battery that sits in between, if the network is down, you could use the batteries power for your household's needs as well as charging your vehicle. Now, the other interesting thing is some EV brands or manufacturers allows you to do V2G, which stands for vehicle to grid. So you are actually able to release the car battery stored electricity back into the load of the house, or even better, sell it into the grid. So that's all very possible. They're not conflicting, they're just different parts of what's actually going on in a modern home.
Amazing. I'm getting lots of questions. This is great. I'm only like a third of the way through mine, but we've got one. I'm going to actually pop it up from Geraldine. Do you have an example on your website which shows what you mean by passing through costs to your members? And then she gives that URL from ea.gov.nz.
So EA has a piece of work that's ongoing. It's encouraging existing retailers to offer time of use, because remember, if you're paying a fixed rate, the power price is set every 30 minutes. What if I work during the day and I actually cook in the middle of the night when very little people are awake and using electricity? So the point there being time of use is actually how we should be charged for electricity consumption. And then the second thing is clarity on how electricity bills get represented. So over the past 18 months, we have seen numerous different variations of how power bills get presented. In fact, we've fed them all into our calculator backed by cloud to train this little AI agent so that it can decipher and parse what different retailers' power bills look like, what they all mean, and actually reconstruct and then compare that to the wholesale half-hourly rates so that we can evaluate the benefits against PowerHub's offer. And the calculator is actually very honest as well. You know, if we actually offer this in August 24, when the market wholesale price was very, very elevated, then the calculator actually tells you you're better off staying with your existing provider, you know, rather than with PowerHub. However, I'm just going to remind everyone that that's only the case if you stayed with PowerHub on step one. Had you had a battery, had you had a solar, then you are actually quite well protected from that perspective. So if I can just talk to the step two, which is the home battery. Most people wanting a piece of battery, you probably pay somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000 for a 15 kilowatt hour battery. We will offer it to you on subscription for $149 plus GST a month. So this actually allows you to enjoy the benefits that comes with a battery. For example, I can charge it up when, you know, the wholesale market rate could be 1 cent for 1,000 kilowatt hours, to then use it later on when it matters. I don't have to necessarily cook middle of the night. I could cook when I need to, but I'm actually using the power from the night before. So really the energy has just time traveled for my house, if that makes sense. And then the step three, which is we've designed some plug and play solar solution. We don't need to go onto people's roofs for rooftop solar. If your property is suitable, our pre-framed and pre-wired solar panels could just follow the fencing contour. Or if you are like Gerard with a big farm, you know, we could just pitch them up like a tent, which are ground mounted. So for $5,500 plus GST, you get 12 panels. They are 600 watt each, equivalent to 7.2 kilowatt of solar array. So 7.2 kilowatt of solar array for $5,500 is enough to generate, you know, over 10,000 kilowatt hours a year. Remember, Gerard mentioned that New Zealand national average is only 8,000 kilowatt hours a year. So we are just with $5,500 is generating way more. So this is the interesting dynamic we are proposing, is let's actually really focus on distributed, which is actually how we live in the communities. So we focus on self-generation, self-storage, and self-consumption. And we've got other plans later on that will give you even more tools to actually manage the challenges that come with the modern way we live and change of technology and change of consumer behavior.
Do you just want to quickly talk to the calculator that you've built? Because you mentioned it before, but what is it and how can people use it right now if they'd like to assess their power bills?
Gerard, what's your experience with our calculator?
So we've developed, you know, very similar. I think Sally's point was the calculator billing on the EA website, which does include the fixed costs. You know, what we're saying is our fixed costs will be at most what they are now, but most likely less because we won't charge a margin on top of them from what's the pass through. But we have developed a calculator where you can do exactly the same as on Billy, upload your bills for the last 12 months, 24 months, whatever you think, or whatever you have available. And it will compare the wholesale price plus for that period versus what you paid and tell you whether it would have cost you more or cost you less across those periods. So we've just been using it, road testing it ourselves. So very shortly we'll be able to put it up on our website, and we'll send a message around to say that it's now in use. So I think very similar to Billy, doesn't have fixed costs at the moment. I think very useful for seeing how good the wholesale deal really looks like in the energy market.
If people would like to try it now, can they just email you through their bill?
Yes, yeah. So
I'll
email
just
either
put
through to me to Sophia or myself, and we'll put it through the calculator and send you back the recommendations that the areas to look out for, and the things to consider. So I think it's a great little tool.
Awesome.
Alternatively, if you are cloud confident, we can share the skill with you for you to upload into your cloud, and you can crunch the numbers and see it for yourself.
You gotta love a good cloud skill being shared. It's the future, right? We're doing that a lot in my team at the moment as well. We've got a question from Sushant, who is asking, can anyone sign up to PowerHub as their retailer, or do they have to sign up for your HES? I don't know what a HES is, so you might need to explain that as well.
I'm not sure what a HES is. If Sushant, you could enlighten me. So can anyone sign up with PowerHub as their retailer? The answer is yes, nationwide in New Zealand. If we have the right backing, this Kiwi company may actually go across the ditch. So if you can just let us know what the HES means, we can probably have a chat in this session.
But maybe just to clarify, the campaign that you're running is to set up the member model, and by pledging they get specific rewards. Do you want to talk them through that? By pledging, basically they are signing up, right?
That's correct, yeah. So the reason why we chose the PledgeMe as a way to seek membership acquisition is that at the moment we're sitting maybe $264,000 equivalent against our goal of 650,000. I was told this is the largest project campaign in New Zealand, so which is a very ambitious goal for us to hit. We did this just through our personal networks with no PR, but over the next couple of weeks, we may see some media picking up our story, giving more profile and visibility. If anything else, it encourages a very healthy debate. The reason why we chose PledgeMe is hopefully you can see clearly our strategy is trying to give members real benefits. You are really saving through PowerHub. So PledgeMe is a way for us to invite the public to come along. In fact, before we actually make a start from a trading perspective, this is a very honest way to test demand. What do you think, Gerard?
I think so. I think it answers to Suzanne. HES from Thank You Google, hybrid energy storage system.
Yes.
You don't require a battery. We would love you to have the battery because that helps the flexibility and the resilience of the system. But we're happy to have you just as a member buying the wholesale deal off us. So hopefully that's answered your question, Suzanne.
Awesome. Yeah, he did clarify home energy system as well, so that's great. And he's just asked a follow-up question. We've got lots of questions coming through. We might go slightly over, everybody. He's asked, what's the minimum yearly, monthly term to sign up with the batteries on a monthly basis?
So you need to be a member. So our membership comes with 3, 6, or 12 years. So the membership fees are $320 for 3 years, $575 for 6 years, or $1,055 for 12 years. The good thing is we're fairly confident that you will be able to save through paying less on your electricity bill to recover the membership, hopefully in year one, then depending on the term that you've signed up, it just means that it's worth something, through the value offering for the subsequent years.
Awesome. And we have a question. I'm just going to show it as well. Charlotte says, I was late to the talk. I see there's a very large solar farm and data hub in design right now. Would the architect spec your product into that farm? So are you working for large scale as well as home use is what I've gotten from this question.
Hi, Charlotte. How are you? I know you. So it's a fantastic question. PowerHub has many limbs to the strategy. So what we are seeking is members as a retail customer. If we have enough members by reaching our goal, we'll actually activate our retail book. What you're referring to is the grid generation or the grid scale. We do have solar panels, everything above the grounds. We're quoting 3 solar farms at the moment. We've got a couple sites under contract. And the battery for generation side is quite fascinating. It's actually all fully enclosed in a 40-foot container, weighs about 48 tons. It actually is capable of storing 2.5 megawatt hours worth of electricity. We may need a couple, or depending on the design, to actually suit. So very, very much welcome, whether it's a commercial, industrial, for example, a hospital, clinic, or high-res residential. We can supply a commercial-sized battery. But Charlotte, you refer to a grid-scale battery, which we have available as well.
Awesome. I feel like, Sophia, you have like this whole plan mapped out to completely change the way we access power. And this is just like the first step. You're just like revealing it bit by bit.
It really is.
Yeah. We have a very detailed question. I'm going to show it. And if it's something that can't be answered right now, we might just do a follow-up email with Geraldine. But she's sort of shown the breakdown of the percentages of costs in her bill according to EA. And she's wondering if the components would be similar in your bill or if they would be different.
That's great. Yeah, great question. So first of all, we have to pay GST regardless. We have to pay levy because, that's how electricity authority is partially funded. Metering costs is exactly what it is. It's a little piece of kit that is on site where you are at the boundary on your side of the property. No one pays attention to until recently. Gerard had a look at your own meter. So these are the fees that you just cannot avoid. What you've just done is you've broken this value chain from generation to where you are consuming it 100%, and that's the breakthrough. That's the breakdown. What we're saying is, if all the retailers are buying from the same pool of electricity, once the generation facilities have sold into the same pool, we know what that is. It's published on the EMI's website every 30 minutes. It's verifiable. We put a 10% on. The other 4 mandatory regulated things are metering, levy, NZX clearing, and network company charges, which are all very verifiable on the websites. This is actually where we're delivering the savings.
I think just to add to that, it's very hard to answer your question, Geraldine, because it determines very much on how much power you use, how many kilowatt hours you use, because obviously generation, transmission, distribution levies are fixed. So whether you buy 1 kilowatt hour or 10,000 kilowatt hours, it's going to be the same dollar value. What we're saying here is that on average, you'll save something like 16 to 20 cents per kilowatt hour on your electricity that you buy. And we'll just pass through the cost of those transmission, distribution, meter costs as a straight pass through, because we can't avoid them. The meter is owned by another company entirely, and they want a return on that investment. And the benefit is, if the meter breaks, they come and replace it and give you a new one. So that's their risk. And I think it goes right back to the start of what Sophia was saying. We're trying to demystify the industry, because there's all these parties involved, and we're saying, hey, actually, we can make this a lot easier for you to understand what's going on by doing exactly what we do. So in our bill, we will break down all those kind of areas as well, so you can see exactly what's going on and who's getting what for it.
Geraldine, you can email them and get your bill reviewed by their skill in Claude to tell you what you would have paid if you were with PowerHub versus what the costs currently are to you. So info@powerhub.com. Oh, no, info@powerhubgroup.com. Test that out. It's also in the chat. So,
but a good question. Thanks, Geraldine.
Charlotte's asked a question. What happens if you don't hit your goal on the PledgeMe?
So if we don't reach our goal, existing pledges, their pledge will be returned. And it just means that PowerHub doesn't get to do this for the members for the time being. We're really brave in our approach, is to actually letting the market talk to us and verify and validate our idea. If you like what we do, if you want to come along on this exciting journey, because we have conviction in what we're doing. But I also do feel a little bit nervous, a little bit vulnerable, because I'm definitely faced with that dilemma. So we'll be busy generating some PR for people to talk about it, debate about it, more profile and visibility. Hopefully we'll get to the goal.
I'd just like to quickly say that your pledge that you make isn't processed until the goal is met and the deadline is met. So money isn't taken out now, it's taken out at the end of the campaign if the goal is met. So pledge early, pledge now if you want to support. The money won't come until the end, but it just won't be charged if the goal isn't met. But something that I told Sophia and Gerard earlier, which I've told them before, is everyone needs a deadline. And what we see in New Zealand is 80% of the pledges come through in the final 24 hours to 48 hours typically. So you're really well positioned right now, but it is always terrifying. Like, it's always like, will people come? But this is a great way to validate your customers and get them on board and make them part of this, while giving them a great deal as well, right? Compared to what they might get if they decide to sign up.
Yeah, very much so. And this is actually also our way to be responsible for the investors that may come later on. The alternative approach is to take some investors' money and looking for customers. And while we're acquiring members or customers, we're burning through valuable cash. So the way we are making a start and the way we structured it is really trying to be responsible to all parties involved. Yeah.
100%.
I think just 107 people, yeah, exactly. And what we're trying to get to is some scale. So we think in a retail business such as this, we need 500 members to make it operational. There are fixed costs. We've got to pay the New Zealand Stock Exchange to post bonds with other providers in the industry. Otherwise, we can't provide the wholesale. So 500 people is the target. We think the business works at 500, hence the kind of $650,000 target that we have. That equates to around 500 people.
Amazing. I would also like to let you know that Charlotte did start that question by saying, I can absolutely see a benefit for my family to pledge for our household. So I think people on this call are understanding. One more question, and then we might wrap up because we're going way over. But Sushant did want to ask, can your platform be used for any battery storage system like SIG, GoodWe, BYD, as long as the inverter can communicate with your protocol?
This is a wonderful question. I'm starting to think you come from the energy industry. So we have this capability. PowerHub has a sister company called VPP Network Limited, essentially focused on a couple things. What I think you were referring to was the HAMS, home energy management system earlier. So if we just think about what is actually happening in our households in the past, was probably a simple telly, an oven, and a fridge. Right now, we have not only all of those things, but also an EV, solar panels, batteries, lawnmowers, a pool. All of those things are smart devices. So how do we, at a household level, ICP level, actually, first of all, manage those devices, watch the behaviors through data gathering to then actually optimize the energy use just per location? Wouldn't that be a great thing? To then actually have a look down your street where Vector or Orion or Aurora, they have the low voltage line. We could then call up all the IoT-based devices and actually optimize and load a shift. And so really what we're trying to do in our overall energy stack is trying to solve the problems of household, business, network, or grid, or generation. So we have a strategy for every part of the system. And yeah, I welcome you to reach out to us if you've got some specific questions that you wish to discuss. But the answer is yes, we can do it, and we have the capability of doing so.
So I'm just going to pop this up. So the email address is in this comment from us. So it's info@powerhubgroup.com if you have any further questions or want to chat to Sophia or Gerard. Gerard, do you have any final things that you'd like to say before we start wrapping up?
Oh, no, I think just thank you all for joining us, and thank you for the very interesting questions. I think it's a very exciting time in the energy industry. What we're trying to do here ties exactly into what the government wants to do, which is distributed energy sources. So the country doesn't have to pay for massive high voltage lines marching up the country. So I think what we're trying to achieve here is democratization of power, so that people can have a battery, have reliance, have resilience, and pay a cheaper price for it. Thank you, Anna. Thank you all.
Amazing. Sophia, would you like to say some final words as well?
Thank you, PledgeMe and Anna, for your support and giving us a platform to actually tell our story. We couldn't have reached 40% without your help. So hopefully, to the people that dialed in, thanks for your time. Pledge if you can, early if you can, or at least just spread the words, encourage a debate. 7th of November is our general election. This is going to be an energy election. There will be a lot of topics coming up, a lot of pressures being put under, for the industry. We're not being critical. We're just simply saying, can we try something else? Can we also coexist along the existing participants and hopefully trying to solve some problems along the way?
I love it. So I've popped the link through to the campaign in a bunch of different places, but if you haven't been to it yet, you should really check it out. So review the information that Sophia and Gerard have created and look at the rewards. And if you like what you see, definitely pledge. The crew are at 40% of their goal, so 260K pledged already, but they need everyone to get on board now to get across the line. If you have any questions, as I said, email Sophia and Gerard. And if you have any questions for PledgeMe, just send us an email on contact@pledgeme.co.nz. And also don't forget to share the campaign as well if you like what you see. So get it out amongst your crowds too. Thanks everyone for joining. Catch you later.